What do you think are the best skills that new CPAs should have?
Along the way, I decided, since we were doing a tremendous amount of turnaround work, I've turned around over 100 companies. Not just me, many of those were teams. You don't take on a very large company by yourself. It's not something to do. But I realized that communication was an essential ingredient, and not that I was a bad communicator. I learned my parents were always talking, and we're always talking about stuff. I was an only child, so they talked to me, so I talked to them. So it wasn't like I was shy, but there's a lot more to just talking. Communication requires a good skill of interaction and listening and paying attention to what's really going on. And so I started taking classes at UCLA, and I started in just general communication. And then I attended a class with a lady who was to become my partner for 27 years, Gloria Axelrod. Gloria was quite the lady. She was a master teacher at UCLA, and I got a great opportunity to not only work with her in the class, but then we started to work together. We did classes together. And along the way, I took a lot of what I was learning, but also what I was learning from the students, and I identified 5 characteristics of better communications, where we watched the role plays, and it was very clear that they were coming up with things or had habits that were inherent. And so that's how we developed as you can see behind me, the Revolutionary Conversations, the tools you need for the success you want. And I crafted a set of tools called the SHARE tools, and they've been around for over 25 years, and we now have a multi-award winning book on it, and it's been taught at UCLA Extension and Cal CPA and Cal CPA Education Foundation. And I wouldn't say that was a jettison up, but it made my career a lot easier to do. And so working in the turnaround business and the funding business and all these other things, being able to talk to new people was an essential ingredient, and the SHARE tools work. Not trying to brag about it or whatever, but they do work. And well, in today's day and age, as AI starts to sneak in, there becomes a much and more enhanced need to interface with the computer, because the computer is interfacing with you. And so, I don't know too much about what the extra 30 hours are, and that I don't know what the choices that you might have. But if you really want to help companies, you got to be able to see things from the multi-dimensions that they have. And they are multi-dimensional. It's all about people, it's all about systems, it's all about customers, it's all about vendors, it's all about the dynamics that's going on. And numbers are important, but the dynamics, what is actually going on, and especially if you're dealing with family businesses, because they have a spin is not the right word, but they have an extra gene in there that they have to deal with family members, and it adds a different twist. And so understanding people and being able to have the right information, have better information, and be able to articulate and integrate that with people. So I would suggest 2 areas, if that's available, and that's communication, interpersonal communication, not just presentation, but being able to sit down with somebody and connect with them in a way that this conversation is going to be meaningful. And then the computers, because so much of that technology, I wouldn't say it's mysterious, but you really have to know what kind of questions to ask. What does this report mean? This is the kind of information I think I need. Let's talk about what's the most effective way to present the information I need. We have kind of a rule of thumb when we're running companies and turning them around, and that is there's only 3 to 5 reports that you really need. And that's more from an operational perspective. And I'm not talking about big reports like this. I'm talking about, reports that you can take action on. and you got to help the client figure that out. So, and the profession has gotten quite departmentalized. You know, if you're in the tax department, oftentimes you're not talking about operational stuff. And in the older days, we were more general. We had to know more. And since I like the re-engineering part and I like the interaction with the people, and if you know, you as a CPA want to have more of that, then you really do need the computers and the communication. Well, Excel is a communications platform because, you know, if you create a report, you need to be able to interface with them and how that works. And when you're putting together your Excel, it needs to be simplified in a way that people aren't having to dig through what you're doing. It's been a long time since I took a Excel course. But whatever you prepare or whatever you're analyzing has to be designed in a way that it's meaningful and it's communicatable. Because you can't just drop something on somebody's desk and say, you know, this is, you know, read it. Well, clients are not that. You know, they're doing something else that they know better than you do. So you've got to be able to bridge that gap, and Excel is a tool for communicating. So they go hand in hand. Also, explaining it sometimes, like you were talking about my resume not long ago, and a couple of things came up, and I realized that we needed to move something around. So when you're teaching somebody something, you're actually learning more than they are. So the opportunity to describe and talk about your Excel spreadsheet or whatever gives not only them the information, enhances their level of trust with you, but allows you to learn what you're actually talking about. My partner Gloria used to say, how do I know what I mean until I hear what I say? You know, it goes on in our head, but if you don't articulate it, and then when you articulate it, it gives you the opportunity to say, well, wow, that's what I'm really thinking about. So.